Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF Bets Race of the Day for Sunday, August the 19th. It's the Grade 2 Del Mar Mile, carded as race number 8 at beautiful Del Mar. You can play that race, you can play that card with your very own DRF Bets account. Sign up, get 10 times the sign-up bonus. Learn more, drf.com/bet. Let's take a look at the field for the Del Mar Mile. It's a big field, should be a nice betting race. You can download free Formulator past performances on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post position order, beginning with the number 1 Catapult, who just beat 5 of these common rivals last time out in the Grade 2 Eddie Reed. Why is it going to be any different this time around?
I think if you're a fan of any of the horses that finished behind Catapult, you're hopeful that that slight turn back in distance from 9 furlongs to 8 is going to be the great difference maker. I understand Catapult has run well at a mile in the past, but I think he needed every bit of that 9 furlongs to get the job done over Sharp Samurai most recently. And for everything that John Sadler has done well over the past 4 or 5 years, this is one of those training jobs that I think is going to kind of slide under the radar, but might be one of his best that he's had, because Catapult went from a decent horse with Chad Brown to now he's a graded stakes winner out on the West Coast. He's a little bit goofy. You and I have never loved that about him, but the talent has always been there. I think he's going to run well, but I do think he appreciated that 9 furlongs as opposed to the 8.
And he'll be a mere fraction of the 21-to-1 that he was in the Eddie Reed back on July the 22nd. Beautiful ride from Drayden Van Dyke, just staying in behind horses. Catapult's the kind of horse, gets a little eager, pulls a little bit when he isn't in behind. He waited till the very last minute, altered him out, and Catapult did the rest. It was a really nice performance, and he draws a cozy inside post in a field jammed with speed. One of those speed horses is next door. That's the number 2, What a View, who bobbled a bit coming out of the gate last time out in the Cal Dreamin', and that took him out of his game. Draw a line through that race.
Yeah, I mean, we know what his game is. It's speed, and when he's not able to get to the front, he's not going to run. Now, I think he's probably lost a little bit of zip on the fastball here as a 7-year-old, but you go 3 starts back. Last time he was at a flat mile, last time he was sent out of the gate to make the front, he got brave out there and won that American. I don't think he's quite what he once was, and you look at that overall record at Del Mar, that leaves me a little bit unsure. He's 1 for 7 lifetime.
Grade 1 winner, but that was back in 2016. Other speeds in this race. If he wants the lead, Kent DeZormo's going to really have to hustle to get it, and that could hurt What a View's chances. He might be up against it from a pace standpoint. Real interesting horse is the number 3. That's True Valor, who finished 7th in the Eddie Reed, his North American debut. He was close to the pace. He just flattened out. I think a 1 1/8 was a little bit too far. This horse showed some ability overseas. A group winner at 7 furlongs.
Yeah, and I think probably getting back to this mile as opposed to that 9 furlong race in the Eddie Reed, it's going to be beneficial. I'm not totally sold on his ability. I know he was that group winner over there, and we've seen so often the horses from Europe just come over here and pound our horses, but I don't think he was keeping the best company over there, and now we get to a scenario where you look and see this is a pretty good group of milers in Southern California. For all we criticize the turf horses in California, I think their milers are pretty good. I think he's going to need to run the race of his life to be competitive.
Only beaten a half length by Sway Dwa last year in Ireland, and that horse did come and do some good things over here. Lamato's a nice horse, but I'm kind of with you, running to the level of his competition. But he's now with Simon Callahan, and he's getting a magic L for the first time. And let's take a look at this formulator fact over the past 5 years. With older horses adding Lasix and turf routes in the first start after the trainer switched to Callahan, 30% trainer, 353 ROI. His horse might get some pace. He'll try to kick it down late. I agree with you. I like him turning back in distance. And Sharp Samurai's a horse that might appreciate cutting back a little bit from the 1 1/8 to a mile. This horse is making his 3rd start of the form cycle after doing some real good things at Del Mar last year. He rolled right through the La Jolla and the Del Mar Derby in his starts in 2018. Perfect trip winner over Catapult, going this mile distance at Santa Anita. And last time out, I think Gary Stevens just a little bit too aggressive. That horse on the lead, Prime Attraction, can step, whether it's dirt or turf. He's going to be a prime contender, and a horse I know you like a little bit in Saturday's Pacific Classic. And Sharp Samurai went all in with about 3.5 furlongs to go, confronting Prime Attraction. They battled all the way down to the wire. Sharp Samurai got the better of Prime Attraction, but he didn't win the war. Catapult was able to win the war. I think this time around, more speeds in the race. He comes from mid-pack.
Yeah, and I think you hit on an important point. I think this little turn back in distance for him is big. I know Mark Glad has always been bullish on his ability to stay longer distances. I think he's at his best when he's at a mile. I think you're going to get a very similar running style to the one that you had 2 starts back, where he sits off of targets, makes that run, was as impressive as he was visually. And it's also worth noting, he defeated Catapult that day. I kind of feel like you're looking at a scenario more like that than necessarily what we saw in the Eddie Reed.
LeCan finished 5th in this race last year off of a pretty long layoff, and I thought he ran okay last time out at Arlington, a race with no pace. He rallied, was only beaten ahead, but thus far in North America, he has not proven to be a graded stakes competitor, and he's just going to need a complete pace meltdown in the race of his life, I would think.
Yeah, plain and simple. Right now, he's not good enough to win in a spot like this. I think the connections at best are hoping for a minor award, and who knows, if he wakes up in a big way, maybe he can threaten, but I'm doubtful.
Bowie's Hero's real consistent for Phil D'Amato, winner of the Kilroe Mile back in March, Shoemaker Mile, ran okay, triple-digit buyer that day. The Eddie Reed, I thought, was a useful performance going a mile and an eighth, and like several of the horses Catapult beat, this horse just seems to be better at this shorter distance.
Yeah, 100%. I think this little turn back second off the bench is going to be beneficial for him. I picked him 4th in this spot. Wouldn't be surprised at all if you got something more reminiscent of the Kilroe, of the Shoemaker. He's run well at Del Mar in the past, and I agree with you. Getting back to 8 furlongs, he's 6 for 10 at the distance.
You've always been a fan of Caribou Club. He earned a big fig in the Connaught Club up at Woodbine 2 starts back. I thought he got a nice trip that day. In the King Eddie last time out, just not a lot of pace. He was up close, but look at the competition he was in against. Delta Prince, the winner of that race, just ran 2nd in the 4-star Dave with a 104 buyer. Conquest Panthera, a horse that finished 3rd, came back to run 3rd in the Lure with a 98 buyer. This horse is sneaky interesting at this distance, and he'll be a price.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm going to be very curious to see what we get off the bench. Proctor's numbers off this little layoff are usually pretty strong. There is a part of me that wonders, he's been gone since the end of June. Is this nothing more than a means to an end? Let's get a race into him. I know Mike Smith is named, so you've always got to take that into consideration, but I think the goal is to get him back up to Woodbine in the middle of September for the Woodbine Mile. I wonder if you're not going to have him fully cranked up and ready to go here off the bench, but maybe you're sitting on a big one in the next start.
Calbred B Squared earned a career best buyer speed figure last time out when chasing Fly to Mars. I thought he ran well. I thought Fly to Mars ran better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't really think there's any way else to chop that. I think B Squared is a nice horse, always been a fan. Waiting for him to get back to Santa Anita, going down the hill 6.5.
Fly to Mars has been a revelation for trainer Peter Miller. They wanted to keep this horse sprinting and going down the hill. They've stretched him out. He's responded really well. We both loved the way he polished off that now winners of 2 other field back on June the 10th, and he came right back to win the Cal Dream. And now he's got speed, but he's shown the ability to sit off a horse or 2, and he might be sitting 3rd here, getting first run. Is the pace going to be a little too hot for him?
I don't think so, because they went a legitimate clip back in that Cal Dreamin' as well. That middle fraction, they really heated things up, and Timeform US had a color-coded red with a 133 for Fly to Mars himself. So he's fast, but he's not headstrong. He's not pulling fast. I think this is a perfect situation. Peter Miller has done very well. Past year turf winner, last out second after the layoff, 3 for 8 with a 490 ROI. I even think the little turn back to a mile is helpful for this horse. To me, maybe I'm just getting caught up with a horse that I've already had success with. I love everything about him in this spot.
Let's see where he is on the Timeform US pace projector. They do have a fast pace predicted. The number 10 Ohm is expected to make the lead over Fly to Mars. I wouldn't be surprised if What a View and Fly to Mars maybe shift positions in the pace projector. Ohm broke a long losing streak in winning the Grade 3 Grade 3 Thunder Road over Bowie's Hero earlier this year, and that was when they just adopted new style, and that was just simple. Listen, we're just going to go. We don't care if we open up 7 lengths, and we're just going to try to bottom out the field. They didn't do that in the Kilroe. They didn't do that in the Makers 46. They didn't win. Now, last time out in the Shoemaker, they tried those tactics, but I think Joe Talamo tried to rate this horse once he got to an easy lead. I just think you let his feet rattle, you go as fast as you can, as far as you can, and see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's the point that you're at with this horse. And look, he clearly can still run. I had written him off and said that he just couldn't do it anymore. I think now you do need to just revert back to that. Try to bottom out the field, say, come and catch me. Now, that's a dangerous circumstance when you've got a horse down like on the inside like What a View, because you know each one of them, at their best, they're probably best trying to just throw down unbelievable splits. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if you saw a 45 and 4, 46 sort of half mile. And that's where I think Fly to Mars sits just off these two.
Big Score recently returned off a 208-day layoff in the restricted Wicker Stakes and got run off his feet in the early portion. They were blazing early. He came with a good solid run. You look at that race just from the visual standpoint and say, boy, that just seems like a real nice prep for him in his second start of the form cycle, catching a field with pace. It's just that the Wicker hasn't come back very strong. I know only a couple of horses have come out of it, but they haven't done very well.
No, and I think that's where you just need to hope that it really was nothing more than a means to an end to get to this spot because, okay, unfortunately that race hasn't come back that strong thus far. I liked everything about what he did in that first start off of such a long layoff, and again, you're going to get pace in this race. You figure you're going to have a tighter horse. My only question is, has he really taken a giant step forward here as a 4-year-old? Because I know that 92, all right, give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not like he was earning giant figures as a 3-year-old either. It makes me wonder if he's living in that mid-90 range, and I don't think that's fast enough to win.
I think Next Year's is an interesting 20-to-1 shot on the morning line. I liked him last time in the Eddie Reed. He was just a little bit flat. Maybe 1 1/8 is too far for him as well. His race in the Shoemaker I thought was okay. He was far back towards the rail. He angled widest turning into the stretch. He finished with some interest to only get beat a half length by Hunt. He is capable, when given the right pace scenario and trip, of running a triple-digit Beyer speed figure. He's a horse I might be interested in fooling around with underneath.
Yeah, turning back to a mile, he's another one. I know he's 1 for 7 at the distance, but I personally think he's better off at these 1 mile distances. I think he comes with that run. You're used to it, that potent kick from him. He doesn't always get over the hump, and I agree with you. I think that's why you're best using him underneath.
Phil D'Amato's done a great job with Hunt. Doesn't matter whether it's 6.5 furlongs, doesn't matter whether it's 1 3/8. This horse usually shows up, which is why it was a little bit disappointing that he didn't show up last time out in the Grade 2 Eddie Reed. Is this a case where this horse is just getting a little bit older and might have lost zip off his fastball? I think it's hard to make that argument because it was only a couple of months ago where he won the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile. I just don't know what happened in the Eddie Reed, and I hate this post position. Was it just a prep?
To be honest with you, the Eddie Reed is a fascinating race, and guess what? This weekend we're going to get a lot of clarity about whether it was good or bad or whatever the case may be, because you had so many of the favorites that day completely bomb. They didn't show up, and you also had some other horses that were overlooked run big races. Hunt is the kind of horse that I don't love him when he's going to be a short price, but if you told me that you would get something close to that 9-to-1 that he was when he won the Shoemaker 2 starts back, he's a little bit more intriguing. 6-to-1 on the morning line, too light, but if he floats up closer to double digits, I could be enticed.
Really fun race on a Sunday afternoon at Del Mar. Let's take a look at our top selections. You believe in Fly to Mars, and he'll be sitting just off the pace, I think. He'll get first run on these closers, and at least he'll be free of traffic, I would think.
I would like to think so. And again, that little turn back, I think he's better at 1 mile than 1 1/16. The blinkers coming off for Peter Miller has been just done wonders for this horse, and I've been impressed. I liked him early on in his career, thought he was going to be a really good turf sprinter. They stretched him out. He can do that. To me, this is 2 horses that I'm most interested in. It's him, it's Sharp Samurai. I respect Catapult, I respect Hunt, I respect so many of these other horses, but those are the 2 for me in this spot if I'm playing multis. It's going to be Fly to Mars, and it's going to be Sharp Samurai.
I'm hoping Sharp Samurai, more patiently ridden behind a faster pace this time around. When he sees Fly to Mars gear up, let's follow him, Gary. Get to the outside and maybe wear him down. He's just a consistent sort. I like Sharp Samurai. I'm going to go 4-1-9-10 in the Grade 2 Del Mar Mile Handicap. The feature race at beautiful Del Mar on Sunday. Again, you can play it with a DRF Bets account and 10 times the sign-up bonus that comes along with it. DRF.com/bet is where you need to go for all the info. Approximate post time for race number 8 at Del Mar on Sunday, 5:30 Pacific. Best of luck.